speaking of being hopeful and opening up Pandora's box, let's talk about Ethan Klein and Idubbbz, because you guys asked me to talk about this, but to be honest, my Syrian cousin Anthony is much better at covering all of this stuff, and that's actually where I get all of my knowledge about all of the lawsuits. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, right here, he's going to explain that, Idubbbz got in trouble basically because he did a stream where he brought up a text message or a comment from Destiny, of all people, facing a felony, admitted to having CP on his computer. Destiny, okay? Stephen Bonnell. He showed up in Idubbbz chat. Idubbbz highlighted it to say, I don't agree with this. Ethan Klein weaponized that to sue Idubbbz, and then recently dropped the lawsuit because Idubbbz apologized. So let's talk about forgiveness, apology, philosophy through pop culture. Let's make sure that we ground ourselves in understanding, what do we do with this? What can we learn from this? Okay, so let's see this clip right here from Anthony really fast. Let me see if I found my timestamp that I needed.
It's kind of insane. And let's see. So this is the original clip, I think, that is being sued for.
It's okay. So I do want to.
Sorry, got to turn it down a little bit.
Hold on. I'm working on Anthony's stream. Anthony and I are working together now. He doesn't know this, but here I am.
It's okay. So I do want to say I don't agree with what's being said in this comment here.
So Idubbbz is already saying I don't agree. And Destiny says, quick daily reminder that Ethan from H3H3 is likely a pedophile who had molested his own children. That's what Destiny said in Idubbbz stream. Idubbbz highlighted it and said, absolutely not. I don't agree with this. And then Ethan Klein said, because Idubbbz kept it on screen too long, he thinks Idubbbz is actually agreeing with it, and then decided to sue him.
So he says, I don't agree with what's being said in this comment here. And you can see it right here, Destiny. Quick daily reminder that Ethan from H3H3 is likely a pedophile who has molested his own children. And that was on whatever. January 26.
But I'm putting it on screen because I think it should be addressed, because it's a big, bold accusation that's very fucked up.
This is a big, bold accusation that's very fucked up. And again, he acknowledges that he doesn't believe that it's true. And again, the whole point of doing this was, hey, Ethan, why did you sue people like Denims, Frogan, and then Casey Tron for copyright infringement, but and you go after anyone on the left who criticizes your show, but you ignore people like Destiny who are literally calling you a pedophile and who are accusing you of molesting your own kids? You say nothing about that?
Yeah.
You let him go just because you're afraid of your audience and his.
Now, I don't know if what Ethan said was true, but Ethan claims it's because, Destiny was obviously making a joke. Was he? Because that's the thing about Destiny. Is he? But I do think Ethan should be afraid of Destiny's audience, because God knows they're a group of harassers. But even more than that, you should be afraid of Ethan's audience, because they're the same. But Ethan and Destiny, who knows what they're really doing behind closed doors. But that's not the point of this, okay? The point of that is not this. Let's go to this, okay? Ethan Klein suing Idubbbz, bets are off.
Children enter the picture, and I said this back then, the bets are off, and the rules have changed, and I will do everything to ensure that people do not talk about my children in this way. But I would just want to get this to people like Charlie, for example, and other commentators who
Charlie Penguin Zero.
Like, this is
who dubbed Ethan the Nintendo of YouTube, which is hilarious and true.
An attack on free speech. It's not. I'm pretty heavy free speech.
Oh, are you pretty heavy free speech? Because it doesn't feel like you are. So just to mind you, Nintendo sues everybody all the time, right? They're always in lawsuits. That's why Charlie called Ethan the Nintendo of YouTube, which is so true.
Obviously, I acknowledge that there's limits to it. I mean, we all agree you can't shout fire in a movie theater, right? Because it's dangerous. Can you just accuse people of molesting their own children if it's not true?
Yeah, but Idubbbz didn't do it. Destiny did. That's why I'm saying, like, this Ethan is, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's an ego entitled, like, that is the entitlement of this whole thing. Ethan is mentally well enough to know this is crazy. And the fact that he's doubling down on it is because he's blinded by hatred and ego. This is why I say I love philosophy. Have the humility to realize it's not always about you. Have the humility to see, like, your life is a reflection of what you put into it. The world is a reflection of us as a whole. Ethan's life is a reflection of what he has put into it as a whole. All of our lives are a reflection. As adults, we're nearing 40. You know what I mean?
It's not free speech. It's not. Why would that be protected? What kind of fucking world would that be if that was protected speech? Not one I want to live in, right? And there should be recourse. There should be accountability. When my
Okay, now look at this video.
If Destiny had this on his stream, a layout on his stream the whole hour,
be a lot different.
it'd be a lot different. People join a stream and leave a stream at different times.
Yeah.
It's a live stream. They don't watch it. It's not a movie. They don't watch it from beginning to end. If you
Wow.
said something in the beginning, that doesn't mean anything.
I mean, he went out of his way to keep it on screen for 2 hours. So the disclosure that you don't believe it should be as present.
I thought it was 36 minutes. Now it's 2 hours?
It should be present with the message.
Yeah.
Right? The whole time. If Destiny had this,
So now they're like, oh, I can't go after Destiny. It was obviously a joke. Okay.
If Ian would issue a genuine apology, I'd probably think about dropping the lawsuit. I don't think he's ever genuinely apologized or reckoned with the fact that like what he did was so extraordinarily fucked up. If he did that, I would probably drop the lawsuit.
This is important.
That's it. That's all I ever wanted, honestly. If Ian
Okay, so now Idubbbz apologized. But, of course,
this
right?
video and I'll say,
Oop. Hold on. Ethan, no. Idubbbz did apologize. Hold on, I just realized I didn't have the video up for some reason. But here's the problem, right?
Hello.
Here's the problem. First, let's watch the apology and then we'll watch Ethan's response to the apology or his reasoning. Here's the apology. It's not that long. 1.2. Here's the thing. Obviously, some people are saying he should have apologized, that now Ethan's going to think he can bully everybody into apologizing. The irony is Ethan thinks he can bully everyone anyways. And he got backed by a lot of the internet. So I don't want to hear any of these boys on the internet who spend their time bullying people I saw people who literally harassed me over 4 years ago, spent a year or so harassing me, making horrible videos of me, clip chimping me, taking me out of context, making my life hell, literally have the audacity to say, you're giving it to Ethan Klein. Like, these are the worst people on the internet all fighting together. So let's put that together. So then we have to ask ourselves, okay, separate from the worst people on the internet, what does it mean to apologize? And what does it mean to accept an apology? Right? And what does it mean to forgive? And what does it mean to really do the right thing? So let's watch Ian's apology to Ethan.
Hello, everyone. I am going to be talking about a very important and heavy topic for me. If you're unfamiliar with the context of any of this, I'll give you a brief rundown. But that is not the main
Confused by the crucifix in the background.
purpose of this video. I do think it's important to share a little bit of my side of the story, but I don't want to take away from the purpose of this video, and that is to apologize to Ethan Klein and his family, especially his kids. Basically, Ethan is suing me for having rebroadcasted a statement made by Destiny on my stream. I did display the very disgusting comment for 40 minutes, and it was wrong. It was a comment from Destiny, and I even said that I don't agree with it, but it sort of highlights how I knew that it was a wrong thing to put out there into the universe and show people. Regardless of the point I was making, it was wrong. I was angry, and I was like, how do I get this guy to, one, not clip me, not mock me and harass me on his live stream, and two, this guy's a fucking bully. I'm angry. I'm angry that this multimillionaire is silencing people and suing people who are...
Mind you, in case you guys don't know some of the lore, is that Idubbbz had a pretty bad reputation on the internet before, okay? He said a lot of things he shouldn't have said a lot of slurs he shouldn't have said, did a lot of things he shouldn't have said, right? He made an effort to apologize and to make amends, which we're here for. We're leftists, we're progressives, we want that for people. We want people to make amends. I never watched Ian. I still don't watch Ian. I'm not a fan of Ian. I obviously watch some of the content to keep up with stuff, obviously for stream. But I think I have seen in real time the consequences of him being a better person, right? And I've seen the way that he's made attempts. So, that's not for me to decide because my community wasn't the one he targeted. But I think what's interesting is that he lost money. He lost opportunity. And Ethan used to make fun of him for this. Like, nobody watches you anymore because he's trying not to be problematic. Ethan's not putting it together that the reason people still watch him, even though that's really going down and stopping, is because he's problematic, is because he's constantly trying to stay trending and go viral, because he's constantly getting into lawsuits with people. Like sometimes, this is why I say, we talked about this the other day on stream, the ethics of being famous are complicated because it's very hard to be a good person and be famous. It's very hard to be a good person and be wealthy. It's very hard to be a good person and to be trending. And so the question is, why are you popular? I mean, didn't we ever learn from High School Dynamics that the popular kids were not very good? And there's a stereotype. There's a reason that's a stereotype. It's not always true. There's nuance and there's gray. But there's something about the fact that, Ethan makes fun of people for not being big channels, including Ian. So Ian is aware that he is not wealthy. Like Ethan is allegedly worth like $20 million, him and Gila, because of Teddy Fresh and everything. I mean, I think their house alone, I could be wrong. I think I remember it being like $11 million or something. I don't remember. But this is why when we have conversations about people and we're talking about the differences of lifestyle, and that's why even when it comes to Hassan, I know we just talked about him. The struggle I have with Hassan Piker is though his house is not a mansion and he paid $3 million for it, him saying it's just a house, it can never be just a house if you spent $3 million on it. You know what I'm saying? You can't understand wealth disparity and say things like, oh, it's just a house. Guys, normal ass people are not buying houses for $3 million fucking dollars. You know what I'm saying? I mean, $1 million is crazy. And yeah, suburb homes can be $1 million in California, but the fact that he even has the audacity to downplay the fact that it's just, there's no humility here for these men. You can't say your one single home was $3 million and it's just a home. Yes, it's not a mansion. Sure, but it's not just a home because just a home is $3 million. So Ethan sitting here going after smaller creators, Frogan and Denims and everybody, when he knows for a fact they do not make that kind of money, is on purpose. That is him using his privileged power to punch down, right?
Who have a much smaller audience than he does and, can barely defend themselves. And so I'm angry. I don't like bullies. So I wanted to do something that would have an impact and, without checking in with myself of whether or not that was a right or wrong thing to do. I justified it in my head at the time. I was like, okay, well, it's not my words. And it's actually said by a really bad guy, Destiny. Not a fan of that guy.
Not a fan.
It's very clear that it was never the right thing to do. It was a comment about Ethan and his children. And it was disgusting. I said at the time in the stream that I don't agree with it.
It was disgusting to say about anybody ever. Unless, that's such a horrible thing to say about somebody and their children. It is a very big deal. And that's why it was gross of Destiny to say it. And it was even more gross for Ethan to go after Idubbbz instead of the man who said it.
But still sharing it and broadcasting it to people for 40 minutes, that was an irresponsible and reckless thing to do. Especially for parents. Like there are many parents with kids out there who do not want to see that shit. And it's painful. And I'm sure it was extremely painful for Ethan and Hila to read that shit and have it pop up again and again and again. And
Definitely.
Just because it's coming from a piece of shit guy,
right.
And I'm showing it to people like, look what this piece of shit said. It's wrong. It's wrong to do.
It is wrong.
And I didn't,
Which is why I ban people from my chat who say things like that about Ethan. Because no, not on my watch, not in my chat. This fucking disgusting. Don't say that shit about people. It's so fucking serious. And this is why I censor my chat so heavy, because there's a lot of gross boys on the internet, especially, who just love to say that shit. A lot of them from Destiny's community. It's gross. I
didn't come to this overnight, right? Like, to be frank, I'm angry. I do not like Ethan. I think he's doing a lot of damage to people online.
Exactly.
And
true.
It changed the way that I was thinking about it. I didn't think about it. I didn't ground myself. I didn't think about, who is actually being affected in this instance. And Ethan's family and his kids are being affected. I just because I don't like Ethan, I think it's wrong to find an attack vector that is his kids.
That's why I think it's wrong when Dark Woke engages in throwing slurs around, because now it's like, yeah, but who's this hurting? Marginalized people. Well, you're throwing slurs at fascists. Fascists are gunning down marginalized people because they're like, oh, you like slurs too? We like slurs too. Let's point our anger on the people that are represented by the slurs. This is what I'm saying. So I appreciate this from Ian, especially given his past, which again, is bad, and I don't watch him, and I agree that you shouldn't forgive him if you don't want to. And that's why these things are so harmful. But this is why I say, like, I would rather we start holding ourselves to a higher standard than lower our standard because we're fighting fascism.
It's foul. It's not okay. And I think it was wrong for me to use the Destiny screenshot as a cudgel to make my point. I didn't need to use the Destiny screenshot to make my point. There's a million other ways I could have done it, but I didn't. And I regret that I didn't. And I regret that I ever put that screenshot on my live stream. You know, that's the main reason why I feel like I do need, for myself, for my soul, to own up to this and acknowledge that I went too far. It wasn't okay. Ethan and Hila and their family do not deserve that. At the end of the day, whatever happens with the lawsuit is what it is. For myself, I needed to make it known on the internet that what I did was wrong, and I don't want to be that person. I don't want to behave that way. I want to make content that I'm proud of. I don't want to give in to a harassment back and forth online. I want to put my energy into making content that I can be proud of and that I'm not going to be ashamed of because I lost the plot. I want to stay focused. I want to check in with myself and know what it is I want to be and what I want to do and what message I want to spread. And this isn't a message I want to spread. So I'm sorry to Ethan and Hila and your family. You guys didn't deserve that. I'm going to think about all of this a lot more, I'm sure. But for now, I really do want to just get back to making the content that I want to make. Having said all that, I wish everyone the best. I genuinely want to see a better world, and I do not want to be a contributor to what makes it terrible. So long. Bye-bye.
Okay, I agree with that message. I think that's good. I'm proud of him. I think all the boys that are jealous of him, like, look, Asmon's thumbnails here. He's only apologizing because he's fucked. I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I think he's serious. I think he means it. And I think he's trying to be the better person. I also know that he has a friendship with Dr. Kirkonda, and they've talked together. Dr. Kirkonda thinks well of Ian and sees Ian's decision to be a better person. And I trust Dr. Kirkonda's perspective a lot. I do respect him a lot. And I think that gives Ian a little bit of a grace from me because of Dr. Kirkonda's faith in Ian. And I believe that. And I think it's the right standard to set. I think all of us, myself included, could absolutely be better at the way we communicate. We could, we're all tempted to be edgy boys on the internet, myself included. And I don't think it's helping the world. I think it's fun sometimes with your friends. And I know we all get a laugh out of it. And also, the nearer I get to 40 and I'm getting there, I would like to be a little bit better than Ethan Klein as he heads into his 40s. Ethan's kind of my example of, okay, don't be Ethan at 40, because Ethan's still doing the edgy jokes. He's still doing the kid posting. He's still being petty on the internet and just not who we should be, I also want to make sure that we seek rightful and good justice, not revenge and not pettiness. And so again, I see chat saying, I still don't understand why Ian's the one getting sued. I think that's the pettiness from Ethan Klein. That's Ethan Klein's, he's got blinders on. He's got hatred and revenge in his heart. And now, really, Ian said, balls in your court. I apologized. It's authentic. What will you do now? Well, he dropped the lawsuits.
That Ian put out this video, and I'll say, on his main channel, which immediately I thought was very good. That he was willing to stand on it on his main channel, obviously his biggest loudspeaker, right? And so I thought that was good. I thought that was a nice gesture to put it here. I thought it was genuine, and I am working with my attorneys now to drop the lawsuit against Ian. Oh, he pinned the comment too. That was nice of him. That was very kind of him to do. A lot of people had a problem with this part. They're like, what kind of apology is this if you're just going to be saying stuff like this? But my perspective on this was, I actually don't care about any of this stuff he's saying now. Listen, what he just said, I've argued against a million times, and I've explained how it's wrong. But that's not why I'm suing him, and he's free to say that stuff. You know what I mean? The problem I had was the statement about my kids, which is the one he's apologizing for. So that's what I'm listening to. He's allowed to say he thinks I'm a bully and whatever, yada, yada. That's fine, right? If that's all he ever said, then there would never be a lawsuit. And it's his right to say that. So I personally saw this, and I don't care at all. I'm not offended at all that he included it. And listen, he wants to make it clear he's not retracting everything he said about me. He's not switching up 180. He was just saying this went too far. And And that was my point as well, right? So we can continue to disagree on those points.
Okay, and Ethan posted this to their H3 TikTok. So I'll just say this. Though I still disagree with Ethan, Ian did not say those things. Destiny said those things. I appreciate the way that this all went. I wish Ethan would do the same thing for Denims. I know Frogan and Casey Tron. I think Frogan settled, if I'm not mistaken. Frogan was also the only GoFundMe I donated to. Got to support my Arab girlies. And I know Casey Tron settled. And I know Denims is still fighting and looks like she's going to win, which good for her, right? But I wish he would do that for the rest of them, because I do think it's so bad faith that he went after these girlies in any way. And I hope Denims wins. I think she deserves to win. I also appreciate the way this went, because maybe it's a sign of a little bit of healing, but it is still a sign that Ethan still isn't really getting it. But I think that, and maybe it's on the heels of his friend dying, which I do think is sad that he lost a friend, Oliver Tree. And I know he's really heartbroken. And I know Anthony said this from Do Not Worry. Death changes us. Maybe Ethan had a realization that life was short and this isn't how we should be living. Maybe he just really wanted that apology. I think it's really important to validate people's pain. And I think it's really important to do the right thing. So I think Ian did that really well, where he acknowledged Ethan's pain. And he also said, but I'm not going to back down from what I said in regards to the lawsuits. And I think that's really a strong apology, because everyone is going through pain, even when it's not justified, in the sense that it's not reasonable. It's still occurring. I learned that in therapy, that the thing you have to do in therapy that I know a lot of these boys don't have the tools for is to acknowledge that pain is actually happening to you. You're a biological creature. You are experiencing the pain. It is real. The pain is real. The question is, why the pain? This is where philosophy comes in, mixed in with therapy. You ask yourself, why are you in pain? And then when you figure out truly why you're in pain, it's never the first answer. You can heal that pain. But you are experiencing pain. Ethan is in a lot of pain. That is just a fact. The question is he willing to do the work to figure out why? Because it would free him. It would free all of us. It would free everyone. If we could all do this work to figure out why we're in pain, we could save the world. We can make the world such a better place. The world can save itself, because we'd be healing as a whole. You see this with your boomer parents. They're in so much pain. But because they won't do the work to know why they're in pain, they blame people. They're often bigoted. It often comes out in how they vote. And I really wish we could all do the pain, because, guys, we are in pain. You are hurting. All these angry white men burning down their own towns. Yeah, you're in a lot of pain. I wish you would actually do the work to figure out why you're in so much pain, because all you're doing is taking it out on the wrong people. And that's why they say hurt people, because we don't know why we're in pain. And so we just lash out at the nearest target. And I'm saying I really wish we would all do the work. I know it helped me. I know it freed me. I know it made me a better person. I did therapy, which is my mental health, my background, my childhood, my traumas. And I did philosophical work, my why, my meaning for existence. How do I move forward in the world, right? And this is why we do both. You want to be a whole human being. You want to know who you are in the story. Are you the villain, the good guy, the passive? Who are you? What are you doing with your life? Do you want to change it? Do you like it? Are you the healer? What are you? And then you want to take care of how you labor and exist in the world. How do you feed yourself? Is it, unique to you and your situation? Is it more standard script? We want to change systems to help us live better. Yes, but then you still have to eat at the end of the day. So what are you doing, right? And this is individualistically, but it also reflects your community effort. It has to be both, guys. Introspection, extrospection. Who you are, why you do what you do, and then why you are how you are with everything outside of yourself. Okay, so who you are in the story, your means, your labor, your finances, your mental health, your physical health. This body is limiting. I'm gonna sneeze. I didn't choose that. I don't have free will. I sneeze when I sneeze. Okay. This is your physical form. I'm chronically ill. Many of us are. Ethan has Tourette's. You never know what this body is going to do, but you got to live with it, You got to figure out your relationship with your physical health. And then your spiritual health. That's your philosophical health. What is your why? What do you believe in? A lot of people, billions of people rely on God and religion. What do you rely on to give you direction? Okay? That's always the next part. And then, of course, who you are in the story, how to be a whole human being. So physical, mental, spiritual, financial. Okay, how to be a whole human being. And all of it together creates a full picture of who you are. take your time figuring it out, but you do got to figure it out. You know, you got to do the work, and that takes a lot of time and effort. And so I commend Ethan and Ian for settling this. I really wish we could keep it going. I wish it didn't stop here, but it kind of sounds like it's going to. Hold on, I gotta sneeze. Chat says, just feel a bit like Ethan is an edgy, tough guy who can't take it when he's getting a taste of his own medicine. Yeah, I think that plays a huge role. That's ego. That's our defense mechanism. That is our ego. That's what happened between me and Destiny, right? Like, I should never have collabed with him, sure. I didn't do my research. I'll do it better the next time around. And remember that I, in good faith, I wasn't even mad at Destiny at the time because I didn't know everything we know now, of course. And I had said, you know, don't take advice from Destiny. He's a serial cheater and he's a bad father. And he pulled an Ethan on me. That's why I think Ethan and Destiny like each other a bit, even though Ethan says he doesn't. I think Destiny is the type of guy who, like, anything you say against him, and I genuinely believed at the time, guys, this was like 4 years ago. I genuinely believed at the time, because I didn't know enough about Destiny, that, oh, he's just mad, but he's going to realize I'm right, and it's going to be fine. Because I didn't say anything wrong. I didn't lie. I said something that was true. I said something that was factual. But I forget, because I have factual autism, that I just think, like, if it's true, people will just get it. But we're not. We're emotional people. I'm an emotional person, right? And so, you know, when we have these conversations, it takes us a long time to realize we're so emotional. Destiny's a very emotional person. Ethan's a very emotional person. We're all very emotional. And that's what that is. And that's why I think, like, you got to be really careful in dealing with people who won't go to therapy and work on themselves in, like, a deep, deep way is, you know, right? Chad says, you were like the first one to reveal Destiny's true intentions. Honestly, I wasn't. His victims were. His victims were the first ones to reveal it. They just didn't get any of the credit. So I made my video, and some people gave me the credit, but it wasn't me. It was his victims first. I mean, I was technically a coworker victim, and I believe this because I was harassed by him and his community. He tried to paint me as, like, this horrible person. He had a bigger audience than I did. More people listened to him. I also did choose not to engage and try to defend myself in a big way because I knew I wasn't going to win, and I knew that I was going to get harassed more, you know, but I wasn't the first person. I was just the first person with a platform who was able to say it. But after I made my video, his victims did message me and say, thank you. I just didn't know what to do. And I needed to do it for myself because it was such a heavy weight. And I just needed to be done with it and move on with my life. And I feel better now. But the victims are always first. You know, the direct victims, the abuse victims are always the direct. My victimhood with Destiny was very different. But it was still like, it's sad that the direct victims could never be heard first. I think that's why it's so frustrating for everybody. But this is why victims don't come forward, because they won't be believed, right? I mean, this is why they go to each other, because, you know, if you've been through it, you know, but it's really hard to be believed. W, thank you so much for gifting a membership. Congratulations. Enjoy that, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah, it just says it even seems like a debate tactic for him, which is bizarre. Every time I see Destiny, he's screaming and crashing out. I don't get the appeal. I think it's, like, funny to people or entertaining. I think it's also old school YouTube, where the louder you are, the funnier you are. I mean, PewDiePie did it. I mean, even I do it sometimes, and it can be really funny for people. I try to do it less as I get older, because I do think at some point it's actually, like, real. Like Markiplier, guys, when I found out Markiplier was actually, his anger was real, that's what I'm saying. When you realize your anger is real and he's punching that wall because he's actually angry, it's like not funny anymore. So now I look at these boys who are crashing out and I'm like, oh, I thought it was a joke. I thought we were doing a bit. We're not doing a bit. Like, when I'm doing it, it's like a bit, or I'm just passionate. But, like, these guys are actually mad. And I didn't know that. And I was like, oh. So everyone always goes, oh, Markiplier is the most unproblematic creator. Markiplier admits he had anger issues. And he was so angry, he was punching holes in walls and being mean to coworkers until he realized, like, oh, people were about to quit on him. He had to go get help. Do you know what I'm saying? That's why I did make that video where I questioned, can you be famous and ethical? Can you be rich and ethical? Because everyone always says, like, oh, yeah, like, these people are good people. Yeah, you may not be, you know, again, good people do bad things and bad people do good things. It's like, which one are you? Maybe Markiplier is a good person who does bad things. But yeah, it's something to think about. You know, it is something to think about. And I think that's important. Yeah. Yeah, Chess says Idubbbz name is Ian, right? Yeah, it is. Chess says if a millionaire holds you at financial gunpoint, an apology is literally your only way out. Well, hold on. Are you replying to the thing of like, why would anyone ever apologize to Ethan Klein? No. These are two things. I want to separate these two things. When you're fighting for a cause, you're dying for that cause. I'm not saying you have to die for the cause. I'm saying Ian didn't apologize because he was under threat, but that is a tactic millionaires can use. Ian did it because it was the right thing. I want to believe that, right? I wouldn't blame Ian if he apologized like Casey Tron did. Casey Tron was being threatened by Ethan. So Casey Tron was threatened. Basically, she was about to lose her house. She was about to lose her support for her family. So she had to read an apology to Ethan Klein. It's the most disgusting behavior I've ever seen from Ethan Klein, that he made Casey try and read this letter out on the internet, right? That was a really good example of him weaponizing his power. But I do think Ian was genuine. I think Ian made this decision because I think Ian could have won that lawsuit. But Casey Tron couldn't have. Casey was screwed. So Casey was hands behind her hands behind her back type thing. So I would separate them out, but I think Ian was genuine. I think Casey was under duress. Yeah. So just to give context. Now, human to human, Ethan is still, okay, this is the complicated part. There are people who owe Ethan Klein an apology. From an ethical standpoint. I don't know who they are, but there are. Some of you absolutely owe that man an apology. Or you're just shitty people. The dilemma is, do you know that? Or do you think because he's a person you don't like or you think is a bad person, he deserves everything coming to him? Because you're exactly what's wrong with the world. That's why I was so impressed with Ian's apology, because I thought like, oh, maybe the world is healing a little Ian at a time, because that is it. Now, again, Ian has a past. You don't have to forgive him for that past, especially Black people. His use of the N-word. Not on this Juneteenth, do you have to forgive this white man? And I do think that there's something here to be said about the way people act. This is why I don't hang out in a lot of boy communities, even though I'm a boy and I miss out. It's because you guys are fucking evil. You guys are fucking cruel. You gang up on people. You fucking just tear them apart. You're not serious in any way, shape, or form. You just want to bully people and call it justice. And I'm sick of it. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that Ian knows his values enough to live by them. I really wish more people on the internet would do the same thing. But you guys don't have any values. You don't have any ethics or morals. You just, you want to feel good about yourselves. I wish more people would have the humility to apologize when they're wrong. And this is what my therapist taught me. My therapist taught me how to apologize for what I did was wrong and nothing more and nothing less. If I did something wrong based off my values, I will apologize. I will not apologize based off your values. If I did something wrong according to my values, I will apologize. Absolutely. And that's the key difference. So I've apologized to bigoted people, to evil people for things I have done wrong, according to my values. But I will not apologize for things I don't think are wrong. Which is why Ian did not apologize for telling Ethan he was wrong for suing those girls. He did apologize for what he did he thought was wrong. And so that's important. And I think that's the difference. Do you have values enough? Do you have good ethics, good morals that you will apologize when you've done wrong according to them? Or do you decide you don't have to apologize because it was to a bad person? And that's the world as a whole, girlies. That's the whole world. That's why the world is the way that it is. Because you guys don't know the difference. Not you, my chat. My chat's so smart and beautiful and talented. But the whole world doesn't know the difference. And that's why the world will be what it is. So shout out to authentic apologies. Shout out to good, solid values and morals. I hope Denims wins. I hope Ethan Klein does the work. I hope the world heals. And I know the world is a good place because you exist in it. And that's why I stay optimistic every day. And I will continue to do so. Shout out to Anthony, Do Not Worry podcast. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that.